On the studio hotline now, got well, it's a pleasure to have on one of the great bands of the 80s, actually, Reflex. Where do you often associate with the 80s, actually? I have on the line now, welcome to the show, Paul Fishman. Welcome to the Danny Sun Radio Show.
Hello.
Hello, it's great stuff. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to me, really, about your music. And
That's right.
Reflex, Re-Flex, actually, you were a founding member of the band. Am I right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I read it. Were you formed in Birmingham?
Formed in Birmingham? No.
Yes. According to Wikipedia, you were formed in Birmingham. But if you want to set the record straight, please do.
No. It was a London-based band, but people, members of the band came from different parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But we all kind of just met up, and our like where we used to rehearse always was in London.
Yep. So you were part of that scene then. What category did you fit in? Was it kind of new wave, alternative rock, new romantic, synth pop? Was there a kind of niche you kind of fit in?
I don't really. It's just Reflex.
Yeah.
It's just what I do. I mean, some people can't. You know, for want of people feeling they need to drop these things into a category. At the time, people said, "Oh, it's new wave or it's alternative rock, whatever." But you know, it was just us.
Yeah, doing your own thing. So the Politics of Dancing, was that recorded like circa 1982, 83?
It was recorded in 82.
82. And you did quite a few versions. You've done a US version, you've done a 12-inch version.
Well, there were variations, and there weren't loads of different versions of it. There was an extended version for 12-inch that was done, really. And there was no kind of other big remixes. We just did that thing at the time. I mean, the track was quite long, the original track, and was actually edited for a single. So it was a longer, extended track anyway.
So you had like a shorter track for like radio, like a cool.
Yeah.
And I like the song as well because it kind of mentions radio as well in the songs.
Well, that's because it was related to my relationship with radio.
That's great, and especially what's going on in the world at the moment. I do like the line "like an affection across the nation." I think that's quite apt to what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, that's very apt for this time.
Yeah. And the legacy of the song features on numerous 1980s compilation albums. I first stumbled across it on the Relax Volume 2, the Ultimate 80s Mix.
Really?
And it was released 1999, quite a popular album, and it was nicely sandwiched between Midge Yours, If I Was, and Split Ends, I Got You.
Right.
And the band Reflex obviously was way before Duran Duran's Reflex song in 1984.
Well, it was actually their song was actually based on us.
Wow. And you know Reflex as well. It's a nightclub as well, and often kind of associated with 80s music. Could it be you were the original inspiration to tag Reflex with 1980s music?
I don't know. I mean, it was just a name that we took because we originally were going to call the band Refuse, and which is explained in the kind of story. There's an online book which goes through the history of the band, which is on the band's website. Mm-hmm. But we just went with the name, really. You know, and I like the kind of the way things looked.
Yeah.
And the imagery was very important to me.
And you performed on Top of the Pops.
Yeah, we did do Top of the Pops.
And it was transmitted 23rd of February 1984, and you were up there with Hot Chocolate and that memorable performance from Nick Kershaw and Marilyn as well.
Yeah, possibly, yes.
I did my homework on that one, you see.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to move on to your kind of recent stuff as well. You have a recent single, Sending Out a Message. Is that doing the rounds at the moment? Sending
No,
out the
no,
message?
no, no. Reflex haven't recorded. Well, okay. After our work together in the 80s, we ceased kind of like hanging out because we lived in different places and we did other things with our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us continued in music. Rowley, the drummer, and myself. Well, we all kind of continued our own little paths. And then we recorded during that period of time from our formation 6 albums, which are on the website or on Spotify or iTunes, all that kind of stuff now. Which included the second album was The Politics of Dancing, because there was a lot of other material that had existed from before, which is on the first album, which is called Movement of the Action Fraction. And then we did various other albums, and our last recording together was really for the album Jamming the Broadcast, which is for the work that I did for Superman, which included some of that.
Yeah. So I wanted to go on to your soundtracks, actually. Thanks for discussing about your kind of history of the band. That's really good. You know, you've kind of took time to do that. I much appreciate that. Just touching on your soundtracks now, you've done film tracks for Superman 4, Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, I did some music for Superman 4, but all throughout my career, I've always worked on film. Even from when I first started to become a session musician, I was employed to kind of play on lots of soundtracks. Because they wanted to use electronics in films.
And most recent, was it Atomic Blonde you've worked on as well?
Well, yeah, they wanted to use politics in Atomic Blonde, and I was very happy for them to do that.
Yeah, especially with the scene as well in the nightclub.
I couldn't have asked for it to be turned up any louder. It was, you know... It was kind of mixed really loud in it, so it was kind of cool.
It was a good scene as well. And any future plans in the pipeline for an Atomic Blonde 2 soundtrack, maybe?
Well, I've been doing lots of other things over this year. I'd scheduled to go back or return to kind of producing my own music as opposed to, over the last 10 years or so, I've produced lots of other people. So at the beginning of this year, I released a double album of electronic instrumental music called It's About Time, which is, I would recommend, worth checking out.
Lovely.
It's and then in August, I released an album of songs that I'd written with my writing and producing partner, Dave Harris, who used to be in fashion, and that's possibly the connection that you might know from Birmingham.
Yes.
Because they were kind of a very big 80s band.
Love Shadow, wasn't it? I remember that one.
Yeah. Love Shadows, and had lots of other records, Move On. And we wrote, during the 90s, and after, we continued to write and produce many songs, and we wrote an album that was of unreleased songs, which has now come out under the name Boom Boom, and we released a single from it, which is a video on YouTube called Two Into the Groove, which is definitely worth checking out. But since then, and what's happening, in fact, tomorrow night, I'm about to release a new single. Would you believe?
Exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. This is a single which is taken from an album that I'm currently making and intending to release in 2021. But the reason I'm releasing the single is because of the US elections. And the single is called Bad Man. And you might be able to gather from that my view on the situation. And there will be a video available tomorrow night.
Great stuff. And for the just to wrap up, where can people find out your videos and your music? What's the best link people can find out?
If people go to the Reflex site,
Yep.
they can either find stuff by going to the Reflex, which is re-flex.com, right? They can either go to that site or they can go to Paul Fishman Music, right? Or there's a separate website for that, or on YouTube, there's loads of stuff now. There's loads of stuff. So if they search for Paul Fishman Musician or Paul Fishman Music or Channel or Reflex, you'll get linked to all of it.
Great stuff. So thanks, Paul Fishman, for reminiscing about your musical days, and best of luck with your projects as well. And thanks for taking time out to talk to me, Dannyson, on the radio show.
Well, a pleasure, mate. A pleasure.
Great stuff.